Good morning, Kathy here from Kathy's Cute Creations. Today we're going to make a burp pad. This is what we're going to make. Isn't that pretty? I put a little applique on it and some ribbon, and I'm going to teach you how to make the entire thing, including all the stippling that's on there. There is our project for today. That is a baby burp pad, or if somebody wants, it can be a changing pad. So what I'm going to use for this project is a Gerber baby diaper, and I buy them in a 6-pack, and this is how I make my little burp pads. Here's the fabric I'm going to use. This is from another project that I've already done, but I thought it was real cute because it has the twinkle twinkle little star, as you can see. So the diaper is longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half, and then, because here's the size of it, there's the diaper, and here's the other edge. So it's got enough that it can do it. I'll cut it down here, right down where this fold is at, and then I'll cut it across that way, and I'll put a piece on the top and a piece on the bottom so it'll be evened out. So the first thing I did was I folded it in half, and the lettering is not really straight, so that's good. So I'm just kind of like just trying to get it pretty good because it's really way off. And this is the selvage up here. So I'm putting it on a line. And then I'm just going to cut it. Trying to get as much as I can. Turn it this other way. Actually, I'm going to flip it over. Still going to keep it on the line here. And then when I separated this because I used the leftover. I had a bit of it. It's not as wide as I would like it, which I'll explain in the video that I'm going to show you. I'm making the baby blanket that matches this, but I thought I'd make this first. So when I took it, instead of cutting it, I tore it so that it would be straight. And you can do that with cotton. You can just snip a little end of it and then pull it and tear it instead of cutting it. Alright, so now all I have to do is turn it around this way. I got the two ends cut off. So line it up here on this line. And then cut this off here. So I'm on the edge right here. I know it seems like a lot, but I'm at the edge of this fabric right here on the top. And that's what I want to be. Okay. That took all that selvage off also. Now I can do one of two things. Let's open it up, take a look at it first. So it looks pretty good. And while I have it, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this edge off. It's all lined up. I'll take this. It'll be more even than me trying to cut that fold line. I never can seem to get that right. And this is off anyway, because by rights it would be right there. Oh, well, the line's off, so it doesn't make any difference. Okay, and we'll just take a teeny weeny bit of that. Okay, just enough to put it in 2 pieces. Okay, there we go. Now, let's just put this down. I'll put this on top and I'll show you what I'm going to do. And what I'm just going to take this here and go like this and add it to the bottom of it. And I'll add it to the top of that. So I cut my fabric 3 inches. I wanted it a little bit bigger because I'm not quite sure how I'm finishing it off. So since this has wording, which is directional, I want it to be upside down. So I want to go ahead and I put it together like this and look at it and then flip it. And then I'll just put 3 pins in here. One at the end, well, at each end, and then one in the middle, just to hold it in place. And I went ahead and I'm using blue thread in the thread, and then bobbin, I'm just using my white that goes for this machine. So let's see if I can get you close enough there. And I'm just doing 1/4 inch, 2.5, just like always. And I'm just going to sew both of these on. They don't need to be locked. Let's see, that's the way that one turns out. And then I'll do the bottom one, making sure that the lettering goes up, or correct, not up. And then when you iron this after it's finished, it doesn't make any difference whether you want to iron it with the seam open or to the side. Okay, I'll go over there and iron it. And here's the little bird that I've decided to put on. Okay, so you peel your paper off the bird, and keep in mind that you're going to have an edge on here. So I'm going to go into the middle a little bit. And then of course my sticky stuff is very little on the wing there. And then I'm going to take it over to the ironing board and iron it. Okay, I hope there's enough light over here. And so my sticky, I mean, even though it's there, it doesn't feel like it. Hold on. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little Elmer's glue on it. And when you do this for your project, and let's say that you don't have any of this double-sided, that's fine. Just go with Elmer's glue. It'll stick on there for you. Let's move that out of the way. And then you press. Normally you don't go back and forth, you just press it on there. That should be enough heat. And then you let it set and cool. Alright, and then you can test this, and yep, it's stuck. See? Okay, I've chosen the quilting applique stitch, which in this case is the blanket stitch. It's just called that on this selection I've done. And you want to take note, in case you get interrupted, of your width and your length. And if you've adjusted your tension, on this machine here, you don't need to adjust your tension. It automatically knows what's going on, I guess. So, lock that into place. Alright. Let's see if that's big enough. Yeah. And if you'd like to change your foot and use an open-toed foot, that'd be okay too. I can actually see this, so I don't need to use my open toe. I do have one. And this is, you have to take your time with this. I did put, just so that you know, I went ahead and I put a little piece of, I'm using this for foundation paper. It's tracing paper. You can use, which I don't have easy access to at this moment while I'm doing this video. And it's tissue paper, like the Christmas tissue paper that you put in your packages. You can do that. I've used that before. I'll use that when I get ready to make the blanket. But this is what was handy, so I thought I would use it and try it out. It worked really good on my practice piece, so you always want to use a practice piece. That'll give you an idea of the width, whether that's correct for you. You don't want to get into your project and then decide after you've done a couple of stitches and look at it that your width is not correct, because you don't want to have to be taking out stitches or anything. And the reason I'm using that foundation paper is that when you think about it, I need to turn this a little bit here. The bird is a piece of fabric, then I have the fusible, and then I have this fabric, so it's 3 pieces of fabric. And when I'm on this outer edge, there's only the one piece. So you got 3 in 1, and so it'll pucker and all kinds of things. So just to avoid that, you go ahead and you use your foundation. And you can use anything. I mean, it doesn't make any difference, whatever you want to use. I'm just using something that I know I can tear off when I get done, because I don't need to have it in the baby blanket. And if you were making this as a wall hanging and you knew that it would never be washed in the washing machine, you don't even need to put a stitch around it. You only have to do that if you're going to be washing it, just to make sure that it stays put. I mean, they say that you can trust that foundation, or that double-sided, but I wouldn't trust it. Not for laundry. Maybe I'm too tough on my laundry, I don't know, but I know that won't work. I gotta turn it here. At the beak. Let's see here. I went ahead and I used it really little. Let's see if I can. Oh, I might have to do one more stitch, looks like. There we go. Now let's see here. One more. That's on the tip of these beak right there. Let's see if I got one more in me. There you go. There you go. And I'm just doing it in the blue thread. Do it in white to match the lettering, but this is a pretty light color of blue that I'm using, so I kind of like the way that it looked. And just slowly go around his head, her head, its head. Let's see here. There we go. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. I don't think the baby's going to complain about the blanket. Let's see what I here. Oh, at the tail end of the tail. So we got one more stitch. There we go. Moving around here. Here's my end piece here. And then I like to leave it where it's at and go ahead and take it back to my straight stitch. And then just do a straight stitch along there to lock it in. Sometimes I just don't trust those stitches that go just straight up and down and that's all they do. I don't trust all that stuff. I don't know why, but I just don't. Alright. Let's take a look at him. Looks pretty good. And then I'm going to do the wing here. There you go. And I'll just go around the wing. So when I finish the wing, I was looking at some ribbon because I'm thinking about having him sit on something. Just put this across here, which would be just a cute little addition. And come to find out, that's actually has sticky tape on it, which I didn't even know I had it. So I'll just take that off and take it over here and apply it. And then I'm gonna put his feet on it, just from one end to the other. There we go. So, just another little addition on there. And I'll just snip off the edges and give him some feet. Okay, so I just straight stitched some feet on there. And now what I do is I flip it over and snip all these threads. And I just single stitched those feet on. And I just repeated going back and forth a few times. So just snip all these threads. These are just all the knotted stuff on the back side. I can barely see my white thread back there. And then just slowly take the paper. See, put my hand in front of this light here. And just rip it. Like that. And it's really easy. I'm staying right up at it. Close up here. Put my finger on it. This way it won't pull the stitches out. And by reinforcing those feet, same thing. So I'm going to just take my time. And then to get the middle here, just take your pin. And I'll lift it up off my thing and score it. Just do that. When you do that, you gotta put your finger in there and get it out. Okay? So I'll just take all this paper off and then I'll be back. Here at the table, and what I do next is I went ahead. If you feel like you need to iron it again, that's fine. You know, if you got it wrinkled. I just lay it just like I want to put it on this baby diaper, and then I take little pins and I pin it. So I'm going to pin it sparingly because what I'm going to do is do some meandering, if it works, that is, all over it, and I'll just start at the top and work my way down. So I'm just pinning it a couple spots so it doesn't come apart while I'm doing it. And I used to use straight pins, but boy, I was stabbing myself right and left with the straight pins, so I quit doing that. But these little curved pins are pretty cute, and they're pretty neat. They got the curve already in them. I'll show you here. Oops. So they got a curve. So when you go into your fabric, it automatically curves inward. Makes it easier. Especially when you've got batting and everything else. Now I didn't put any batting or anything in this. This is just strictly the diaper on one side and this fabric on the other. I don't always do burp pads. This is just sort of like a little bonus. I decided to do it because I didn't have that much fabric left over. Excuse me. And my ideas for the quilt are pretty cute ideas. I've spent a couple of weeks cutting out a bunch of these birds, different size birds with my AccuQuilt. And I did some flowers. I've got about, I think it's 3 different dies with flowers. That's what the AccuQuilt is called, the dies, or what cuts the fabric. And it took a while. I got a whole bunch of bags full of stuff. So let's go over here to the sewing machine, and I'm going to go ahead and I'll show you how to do this stitch that I'm going to do. I think that's a good place to stop for today, and the next time we're going to start up with getting the machine ready and doing the quilting. All right, till the next time. See you then. Bye-bye.